Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-hosts, Vern Glenn, FP Santangelo Jr., and Russell Jackman. Hey, all we need is
full
one
show
more...
this time.
That's right, the whole show. We have nothing but the show. If we have one more person, we can play poker. Do that online.
Or we'll sync. We'll sync due to we'll eat up all the bandwidth.
Yeah, it's funny. We used to play hearts online, and we'd have in different offices. Everyone would be on their computer, and this was like when it was kind of brand new to be able to do that kind of thing. And you'd hear people yelling from the other office, "No, don't do it!" And then it's funny because the stakes, it used to be like 10 cents a point or whatever. Then it got to being $1 a point, and suddenly these guys are betting kind of big money, and there's hundreds of dollars trading hands after every hand. Okay. Let's see. When we first of all, our trivia question is going to be more hard baseball questions. You got to know your baseball for this.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the end of the MLB lockout. Want to hear what you guys think about Deshawn Watson avoiding criminal charges and how that's going to play out for the future here. We were talking just a little bit off air about the Russian athletes, not participating in any games. NFL trades, of course. Tom Brady unretiring, and it cost the fan. Guess how much it cost that fan?
$5 million.
$500,000.
I know.
I guess that's what he paid for Brady's flat.
Isn't that crazy?
Touchdown pass. So I wonder if he's going to go back to Tom Brady and go, "Hey, you owe me money for coming out of retirement." All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments currently yielding over 6%, secured by real estate. Check them out, especially with the stock market kind of going up and down. That's a good place to look. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Do not touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn, FP Santangelo Jr., and Russell Jackman. FP, take it away.
So I don't know if you guys heard, but Major League Baseball came to agreement. We're gonna have a baseball season. Baseball.
How about that,
everybody? So
It's
very
been
exciting
mentioned.
stuff here. The players and the ownership groups came together. They agreed on a collective bargaining agreement. It'll be in place until 2027. And a few things we can highlight on this is the increase in minimum player salary, which the players were fighting so hard for. Just because you might think Major League Baseball players make a lot of money, but the top 1% make 99% of the money in baseball. It's a pretty crazy static.
So
That's the stat that people don't realize.
Yeah, are they
Just like the United States.
Are they doing this for the trying to pay it forward, so to speak, for the young bucks coming up?
Yeah, so to speak. Yeah, because the guys with 0 to 3 years experience, they're kind of locked in. So now there's a little bit more money in the kitty for these guys coming up.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's an expanded postseason now to 12 teams. So that means there should be increased revenue throughout the league. There's increased bonus pool money. So this should help teams that, are small market teams pay for arbitration salaries and keep and retain players, which we'll get to in a second. It's really not, we're getting to a lot of trades right now, and that's really not happening. But there's service time manipulation penalties. There's a whole bunch of good stuff here. So the
Most importantly, no games are lost on the season. And so, we're going to get the 162 games that the fans really want to see.
Absolutely. But the main thing we want to take away here from the CBA is that the players are going to get compensated for their pay. There's been a huge increased revenue in Major League Baseball, so that's good. And then we're hoping what the players wanted was more competitiveness. And unfortunately, after a few days of trading and free agency, we've seen teams just completely dump salary and trade tons of players away. Most notably the Oakland Athletics, who traded away their best pitcher in Chris Bassett, and then their best player, well, arguably their best player, Matt Olson, to the Atlanta Braves. And then we see the Cincinnati Reds trade away all their players and dump $50 million worth of salaries. So this whole anti-competition thing, well, it's not working out. And I think the owners are trying to send a message immediately to the players that, hey, we're going to still do it our way, and it doesn't matter. So we have 2 teams already that are saying, hey, we're out of it of the season. We're not going to compete. Too bad.
Wow. Boy, that's kind of scary.
Well, I think before any of this happened, I think we all being Bay Area based, we expected the Oakland A's to dump salary. That's their MO. That's what they do. They
Major League's minor league team.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Russ. Go ahead.
The Major League's minor league team is the Oakland A's. They're the developmental team for the Yankees and Boston and LA. They're just basically a developmental team for those cities.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wind up picking up the best players that Oakland ever comes up with.
Yeah, go ahead, Bert.
So that said, I mean, the A's just continue their mantra of developing guys, and as soon as they get good, when they get close to making the big money, they're traded away for prospects. Wilson gets traded away for 4 of the best Braves prospects who come over to the A's. But if you're a fan, you're like, geez, well, who do I lock onto? I mean, what guarantee do I have that Matt Chapman is going to be there when I show up on April 18th or whenever the A's home opener is? So I feel bad for the A's fan base, but they should be used to it by now.
Yeah, that's true. Let me ask you, how many games, playoff games, is too much, right? Because at some point, it's sort of like with basketball where like half the teams make playoffs. It kind of sort of takes away from it. If you have too many playoff games, it's going to kind of take away from, the excitement of it. What's the balance?
So I think it depends on who you are and what team you follow and where you live. So the fact of more games, great for the fans. All these series are going to be 7-game series anyway, expanded from 5, and so you get more baseball. So if you love the game, then it's a win-win for you. It's a win for the owners because they get more money in their pockets and potentially more bonus money for the players.
Playoff chases equal money down the end of the season, even for teams that aren't very good. And that is one thing the NBA has done that a lot of other leagues are now, looking at and saying, well, if we have, teams that are under 500, but they're competing for the playoffs, they're still going to sell tickets to the final games of the season if fans think they're going to see a playoff team.
How are they doing with the wild card situation, though? Are they changing that at all?
Yeah, so the first seed and the second seed with the 2 best records, they're going to have a bye. And then I believe it's a 3-game or a 5-game series. And then they're expanding the divisional round to 7-game series. And then the championship series is 7 games. But guys, we've seen in baseball teams that have no business being there go on a run and win it. And baseball, of any sport, it's about the hottest team, right place, right time to win it. The NBA, it's talent. We know that. It's a talent-driven league. If the team is deep, they got a lot of talent, they're probably going to go far. Some exceptions, like the Brooklyn Nets this year, they're all banged up all season, have a lot of weird stuff. They're going to be in it, so that's good for them. But in the NFL, too, on any given Sunday, a team can win. So these playoffs are good. It's exciting, and it gets teams that are not historically always in the playoffs a chance to get into the playoffs. And then the incentive for that, too, is that if you're a bubble team, you're right on the edge to enter the playoffs. You're going to start spending more money, and you're going to make those trades to make that push like the Atlanta Braves just did. And the Braves just won. I mean, they only had 3 more wins, I believe, at the trade deadline than the Washington Nationals. And they went on to win because they were all in. So we're hoping to see more of that, and then it's just more exciting for the fans.
And these guys, they by the acquisition of Olsen, they're able to get rid of Freddie Freeman, who's arguably their best known player on the roster.
Yeah, and the big difference.
Freddie Freeman will probably be a Dodger.
Yeah, the big
at the end of the day.
But like Pete, what you're talking about, where any team can just come out and just win it compared to all talent. And I think it's the big thing about baseball is a little bit more of an individual sport, right? I mean, it's a team sport, but it's like if you're the hitter and you're doing well compared to everyone in the outfield, they're going to play the way they're going to play. But basketball, it's such a team sport as well as football.
I would actually say the opposite, because you can say LeBron James can take over a game and score 60 points, and that's that. And in baseball, if Buster Posey's hot, for example, he hits 1 home run, that's 1-0. That's it. That's all it is.
I've never seen 1 beat 9, Edward, have you?
No, but
Like
I don't know.
Steph
I
Curry
mean,
can take
it's
over
like guys in the
fourth quarter
outfield,
or
they're
third
going to,
quarter.
it's not like, generally the guy's not going to pass a ball to another guy, right? I mean, yeah, if you're going to be hot at the plate, you're right. One can't beat nine, but basketball, LeBron is going to be just LeBron. I mean, yeah, he can have a fantastic day, but it's for a series. I don't know. I think because baseball is a little bit too much of an individual sport that.
I would disagree with you because
Really? Okay.
even the pitcher can only go 6 innings. So you got to have a great bullpen. You have to have a great defense. I mean, Chris Bryant, even in that series against the Dodgers, he hit 650. He went off, but the Giants still lost that series.
Okay. Yeah. How many times have you seen a team come back when they get rid of the starting pitcher and the bullpen has to finish it up and the bullpen is unable to do it?
Fair enough. All right. Here's our first trivia question. We're talking baseball here. So 1983 was the first year they awarded Manager of the Year. Tell me, who were the NL and AL managers who won it? 1983. All right. Obviously, you'll know both managers. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com the answer to this hard baseball question. 1983 was the first year they awarded Manager of the Year. Who were the National League and American League managers who won it? And one of them you'll know because you'll know them both, but the team you'll know because that's the only team I think he's ever managed. The other one, he's managed a couple of teams. All right, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown, Vern Glenn, FP Santangelo Jr., and Russell Jackman. Got a foursome here, guys. Hey, are we the fearsome foursome?
Okay. Sure.
All right. Or what was the Four Horsemen? That was back in
that was Notre Dame.
Notre Dame,
yeah.
Rangers time and all that.
Or WCW.
Yeah, always with the WCW. Okay, here we go. 1983 was the first year they awarded Manager of the Year. Baseball, we're talking here. Who were the NL and AL managers who won it?
All right, I'll take a stab at it. I'll go American League, Cal Ripken Sr., and National League, Harvey Keene.
No.
I'll go Sparky Anderson, just because I like that name.
Oh, yeah. That probably would.
And I'll throw in Tony La Russa.
Tony La Russa is correct.
Chicago White Sox.
Chicago White Sox.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the harder one. Very good. And then who was the only team, if I remember correctly, who was the only team that won the World Series twice in the 80s?
The Cincinnati Reds?
No.
Oh, Oakland A's.
No.
I don't know.
The Dodgers. They won 81 and 88. Tommy Lasorda.
Oh, Tommy Lasorda.
Son of a gun. All right.
All right. That was good. All right. Let's see here. Moving on, Tom Brady unretires, costing a fan $519,000 because apparently that's what he paid for Tom Brady's last touchdown pass, which, yeah, yeah. And I'm thinking, I mean, even if it really was his last touchdown, was that going to be worth $500? I mean, it's worth it because the guy paid for it, but I mean, I could see maybe, let's say his first touchdown pass or something, a rookie card or something, but the last touchdown, I don't know. I get, listen, whatever people want to pay for something on an auction, but now what's that football worth now? It's just a touchdown pass. Assuming Brady never throws another touchdown, it'll be worth something, but I don't think that's going to happen. Do you think that?
If I'm Tom Brady, you know what I say? Too bad. You know, there's a lot of people out there with a lot of FU money, and if they want to spend it on that football, fine. But this is America. We have a right to change our mind. And if he wants to go back to work, fine. 6 weeks after he announced his retirement. I think it happens a lot. It's just that in this case, it's a household name in Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Edward.
Yes.
I was going to say, Edward, now he can actually play with that football. He actually can go out and play with it with his kid, not worry about, scuffing it up or.
That's right. Now, do you think, just like in the movie The Sandlot, So do you think this guy's going to sue Tom Brady? I mean, you never know. Some attorney will take on that case.
Yeah, we have one attorney on this panel.
Yeah.
Russ, does he have any legal means to go get his money?
I'll represent him for another 500,000.
Sure.
I'll
tell you a quick story. I'll tell you a quick story. On Jerry Rice's last game in a 49er uniform, they were handing out little mini footballs to fans. And so I got an interview with Jerry after the game to kind of talk about, his emotions of the last game as a Niner. And I had this little football and he autographed it for me. And so I come home and I put it on the desk or whatever. Anyway, days later, one of my kids is taking a bath and he's playing around with his football in the bathtub. Everything had washed off.
So my son, we had met Joe Carter, and he got his autograph on a baseball. And Christian decided, when my son decided to, start playing around with it, right? Oh, this is really cool. I get to play with it. And so I looked, I said, Christian, and it started to get scuffed up, right? I said, Christian, you may not have wanted to do this. It's your baseball. You can do anything you want, but you kind of devalued it, right? So what does he do? He takes a magic marker and traces the lines again. I said, there you go. Now you just put all the value back in it again.
Smart.
Actually, I got to go ahead, FP.
Oh, I was just going to say, guys, I don't really feel bad for this guy that spent $500,000, because if you're spending $500,000 on memorabilia, I think you're doing okay in life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what you do is you wait for a guy to die, then he can't unretire.
Yeah, and then if you think about it too, from an investment standpoint, a lot of people are putting capital, Sports Econ 101, into these sports memorabilia things because they actually appreciate in value. It's actually a very safe way to invest money when you think about it. Unfortunately, not this time.
Maybe not $500,000.
$500,000, yeah, and we're always very careful because we try not to use the word safe. Because I know, from an investment standpoint, that the securities rules they say. You can't say anything is safe. You can say something's more conservative, but you can't use the word safe. That implies a guarantee.
That's true.
I know you weren't safe. But you know what though, with baseball cards, so I still have a lot of cards from the 60s and all that. But in the 1980s, 1985, I think was the year that maybe 84, they started going up in value, and Topps and Donruss and Fleer, they just flooded the market. And suddenly, I think I've got 50 Jose Canseco rookie cards, and maybe they're worth $1 each. and they're in perfect condition. Again, supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
Right. Hey, Russ, you'll love this. I'm in the garage the other day, and I stumbled onto my comic book collection, and I stumbled onto my most valuable, Incredible Hulk. It's issue 181.
Wow.
I've seen it sell for $20,000.
Oh yeah. Oh, is it in good shape? Is it in good shape?
It's in great shape, wrapped in plastic.
Oh, dude, that's worth several $1,000s.
Yeah.
So don't mess with that. That is beach retirement fund.
Yeah, exactly. So in the old days,
for those out there that don't know, Hulk issue 181, which came out in 1974, it was the first ever appearance of the Wolverine.
Ah, okay.
Well,
So
there's a lot of controversy in the comic book community because he appears actually for the first time in the previous issue on the last panel. So a lot of people are saying that's really the first appearance.
Which I also have.
You also have that one too. Very cool.
Oh man, that's a good collection.
When we were kids, and I don't think kids have done this for years, but when we were kids, we used to take the old baseball cards that were,
put them in the
old ones
spokes.
that weren't, like the big nobodies, right? And we'd put them
Honus Wagner and stuff.
Yeah, right. We put them in the spokes of our bike, because it sounded
to
cool,
make it sound
right. And then I think what ended up happening was we realized that playing cards were more, they sounded better, they lasted longer, but playing cards were not cheap
Kind of
back
a stronger laminate on it.
then. A stronger laminate, exactly. But it's kind of funny because the old baseball cards, and when I say old, I'm talking like 1966, 67, nothing from the 30s or 20s or anything. Even those cards, because people, collectors are sometimes missing, they want like a whole set. Certain cards you can get ones that you would think are worth like nothing, you can get a few bucks to $50 to $75 for a player nobody's ever heard of because they want to do those sets. Pretty cool. Let's see, before we get to break, you want to, I got a quick question here. So Kyrie Irving was not allowed to play, but he was allowed to be at the game without a mask. Now, apparently he got fined for being in the locker room without the mask and $50,000 fine or whatever. But it's like, and so I'm wondering, someone had written on Facebook or something, it's like, well, does dribbling a basketball transmit the virus? It's like, I mean, it's if you allow him there, should he have his mask on? I mean, it's just, I don't know. Hopefully they'll get rid of all this stuff really soon, get back to normal. But I just thought that was kind of odd why he was not allowed to play, but he was allowed to be on the bench without a mask. Does that make sense?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. Just because he would be transmitting the disease to everybody on the court anyways. It's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. This is when too much legislation goes wrong.
And interesting, like I've seen in the local paper, sometimes they'll have the high school basketball girls and boys teams. And you see these guys are in shots and everyone's wearing the mask on their chin. It's not even covering their mouth, let alone their nose. And it's like, okay, I'm kind of trying to understand where's the logic on that? Maybe you transmit it through your chin.
Well, that's why we have nearly 1 million Americans dead from this virus. It's just that kind of thought mentality and people who are too, cowardly to go get their shots. I'm sorry, I don't have any other definition for it.
Well, the good news is, guys, we're rounding at the end of it. I actually looked at the numbers yesterday. It's just a couple thousand new cases in the U.S. a day. So,
there you go.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, we only lost 900,000 people and more people than Vietnam and the Civil War
but be very careful. Be very careful with those numbers because things get kind of skewed. Someone gets hit by a bus and they go, "Yep, died of COVID," and there you go. There's part of
not my friends who died from it.
I know there's real people who died.
Yeah, there are real people that died from it. And I get really upset when people talk about the fudging of the numbers because it's real. The people who died are real.
Yeah,
they
you're
have
right.
real
Absolutely.
stories.
All of that is true, but do know that they do fudge the numbers as well. Just so you know, there's both. Both of them are true. Okay, you guys ready for our second?
I did one of these shows on my way to a funeral.
I understand, and I'm not trying to diss the fact that real people are dying.
I get it.
I get. No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that if you look at what's really out there, things are getting a little bit too politicized on that. Okay. Hey, here's our second trivia question, and this one's a hard one. What team won baseball's first championship series in 1884? Russ just loves when I have these old questions.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Is it a team that exists today
by
the same name?
No, it does not.
Okay.
All right. Stay with it. I got to throw one really hard one at you. Okay, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time. Edward Brown here along with FP Santangelo Jr., Vern Glenn, and Russell Jackman. Second trivia question is a hard one, guys. What team won baseball's first championship series in 1884?
All right, I'll take a stab at it. The Cincinnati Red Stockings?
That's what I would have thought because they were the first professional team, as I understand it, in 1869. But apparently the first championship series, okay, which I don't know, would we call it the World Series now? Maybe. The Providence Grays.
Oh, I knew that.
You knew that? Oh, I
had no idea.
That was a hard one.
But did the Providence Grays move to another town to become something?
I think so. I'd have to kind of look that up, but
maybe the Washington Grays. Maybe they became the Washington Grays because that was a team back in the day.
The Washington Grays, really? I didn't know about that. Okay. Now the next question though is a little easier, and it's not that old. Okay. All right. So we were talking a little bit before we even came on the show about the Russian athletes not competing because of the Ukraine invasion. And FP, you said you looked into that a little bit, and it's like a lot of them are either being, some of them are just choosing not to compete because of the embarrassment, right?
So if you're state sponsored right now, you are sanctioned. That's pretty much it. So if you're playing sports in the West, you're state sponsored, you're sanctioned. There's no official FIFA team. Pretty much the World Cup team in Russia is non-existent. They will not be competing. There's no exhibition matches. So anything that's state linked is sanctioned right now in the West. You're not playing. There is individual athletes that are tennis players, that are soccer players that are playing in the Champions League, stuff like that are still playing, and they're voicing their support for Ukraine or just staying out of it. I mean, we know that Ovechkin in DC, who's playing hockey for the Capitals, he's been asked to not be asked anything. Like he's completely just staying neutral on the subject because obviously he has got a relationship with Vladimir Putin. He's actually been very vocal about that in the past. So the team has pretty much had a no tolerance policy saying that you can't ask him questions about what Putin's doing and everything, or else you're going to be removed. You're going to have your credential revoked. So That's kind of where it is right now. And it's just a weird situation that is going on because a country's invading a country. It's very political. People are dying. It's a horrible situation. It should have been avoided, but people at power are going to do some evil things, I think personally, and hopefully this comes to an end. But it's way bigger than sports, and it's putting a lot of people in awkward positions, unfortunately. And the good people of Russia, there's some really good people in Russia, especially here in Sacramento, in California. There's a lot of Russian people, the big Russian community. I've gotten to know a lot of them.
Well, can you imagine the people in Russia who are protesting against it? I mean,
yeah, it's just an incredible situation. But getting back to sports, though, it's just putting everybody in a very awkward situation, and it's unfortunately hindering some athletes' careers.
I know that's the thing is you really got to feel for these poor athletes. I mean, they have nothing to do with it. They just happen to be from the country, and yet, their whole lives are just turned upside down.
As you mentioned before, the precedent was set in 1980 when Carter boycotted the Olympics because of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And there's athletes know that politics can influence what they wind up doing. We learned our lesson in 1936, how the Olympics can be politicized, and I think to some large extent we just went through it with China, and by the way, thanks China for asking Russia to hold off the invasion until after the Olympics. Really class move, China. And we really appreciate the people of Ukraine, really appreciate your thoughts at this point in time. Unbelievable.
And I feel terrible for the Russian athletes that we have over here who have families that are in Ukraine, on the Russian border, and they just it would mess with my focus if I was over here in the United States, having to play a game when you got your family over there.
Well, can you imagine some of the people who are in Russia who have or in Ukraine who have relatives in Russia, and they're getting disseminated information. And, I just can't even imagine that. What about some NFL trades? Moving on to the football. Holy smokes, there's been a lot going on there too, huh?
Well, Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to be hurting for any cash with his contract extension. It turns out to be, he's already been paid for the first year, but the next couple of years he's going to be picking up $126 million.
Yeah, but look at all those taxes he's got to pay. I don't know if it's worth it.
In the state of Wisconsin, I don't know.
He's good.
No, well, but in federal though, IRS.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'd take it. I don't know.
And I think one of the interesting things. I think one of the.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Russ.
Yeah. No. I was just saying, what's interesting is that Garoppolo hasn't been traded with all of these teams shuffling quarterbacks, or re-signing, their own quarterbacks. Garoppolo is staying put, is he? I don't know.
It's not just, the value is starting to go down a little bit because teams are restocking with other quarterbacks, and the quarterbacks are being traded to other teams where you think, oh, well, that might be a destination for Jimmy G. Well, no, it's not, because because of transactions made, and that's just one less team that he's going to. So that's it. I think it's going to happen, but what the Niners are going to pick up for him may not be as much value as you might think.
Go ahead.
Guys, do me a favor and go watch the 2019 highlight reel of Jimmy Garoppolo, and then go watch him last season. He has lost a lot. He's lost a lot of arm strength. He's lost a lot of ability to move around in the pocket. It's very apparent. So if I can see in a YouTube video how much he's changed in 2 years, there's NFL scouts all over this right now, and they see that he's lost a step or two already in 2 years. I don't know if it's because he's played injured and played through injuries, or maybe he was injured all last season, but just the zip on his ball is not there. He's not making those throws like he did in 2019. It is extremely apparent. So
again, to be fair,
go watch that. Go watch
bad
that.
shoulder and no ligament in his thumb to even grip the football.
And remember, against the Chiefs, he had that bad leg injury.
Yeah, I mean, even if you guys want to look in the beginning of the season before all those apparent injuries happen, you can see it's like shocking. I was blown away to see the difference. So I'm sure there's a lot of scouts that see that and thinking, okay, maybe this guy's a winner, but at what cost? Because he's not making those throws anymore.
I want to know how Russ feels about this. 49ers, he went out and he signed a cornerback, Charvarius Ward from the Chiefs. Gave him a 3-year deal, gave him $30 million, something like that. And this is the guy that was beaten on a route in the Super Bowl by Emmanuel Sanders, and Garoppolo overthrew Sanders in that Super Bowl. So, but it was Charvarius Ward that was beaten on that route, but he was the best free agent available at that position, and the 49ers went out and got him.
I mean,
I'm glad to see the Niners spending some money like that, especially because of their cap situation. It's amazing they're able to sign any free agents right now.
Well, they have cap issues. They have cap issues, but they lost DJ Jones, they lost Laken Tomlinson, so they've lost some key guys that they counted on. But this wheeling and dealing is going to continue through the draft, which is at the end of April.
Well, isn't Russell Wilson? What happened to him?
He's a Denver Bronco now.
He's a Denver Bronco. Yeah.
Denver, yeah.
Wow.
And I'm not surprised because he was so upset with the way things had gone on in Seattle, and I'm glad to see him gone as a 49er fan. I'm definitely glad to see him out of the division.
True.
Because he owned the 49ers.
So let me ask you about Deshawn Watson. So he avoided criminal charges, but
yes,
Russell, is that he's still open to
there's 22 civil
cases, right? That's kind of what happened to OJ, right? OJ was not held criminally liable, but then he got sued, and it was ruled against him, and he owed millions of dollars in civil. Think the same thing?
A couple things.
Go ahead.
A couple things fans need to know. One is that the standard of proof that you need for a civil trial is much lower than what you need in a criminal trial. So to prove that, you only have to show 50.00001% likelihood
more likely
that something occurred.
Yeah.
Yes, more likely than not, as opposed to without a shadow of a doubt, which has to be, almost 100%.
Without a reasonable doubt.
Yes, right, and that reasonableness gets thrown back and forth. But the other side of it is the NFL suspension, which is not related to any court action whatsoever.
Yeah,
and we have no idea where Goodell is. He is the most inconsistent and hard to predict suspension guy in the history of professional sports. He will give some guys, he'll suspend guys for 4 games for an inflated football, and then he'll suspend guys for no games for spreading COVID, possibly to thousands of people. So, we have no idea what he's going to do with Deshaun Watson when Deshaun Watson is finally brought back to the team. And the team has suspended him, but not the league. And so where he winds up with league punishment, I honestly have no idea. It could be 4 games, could be a season, it could be an hour and a half, of signing.
Yeah, but if he's
autographs.
he's found not criminally liable, so
That's
why
better than
would
Goodell.
why would you have any suspension at that point if he's held innocent?
Because Goodell is not required criminal prosecution to levy suspensions on players in the past.
Yep.
He said such.
Yeah.
I
would argue, guys, just really quickly, that Roger Goodell is very consistent with his suspensions if you follow the money. Gotta make the league.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
He's got to not suspended that long. That's just
where do you think Deshawn Watson will land? I mean, he's going to be going to some team.
Well, reportedly, he has been contacted by 6 teams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What 6 teams they are, I don't know, but all of these 6 teams have to realize that just because they get them doesn't mean they're going to be able to play them right away. I mean, they have to deal with the fact that, okay, this guy's going to miss some games before we can even instill him into our offense.
Good point. Okay, guys, we're going to get to our last commercial break here. This one's not quite as hard. What baseball team was the last in the 20th century to win more than 100 games in a season? Right? What team was the last one in the 20th century to win more than 100 games in a season? That is our trivia question. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back with some closing comments. Don't touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn, FP Santangelo Jr., and Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question was, what team was the last baseball team in the 20th century to win more than 100 games in the season? I thought it was the Seattle Mariners, and I was incorrect.
99 Yankees?
Yankees.
No. I think you have the year right, though, if I'm not mistaken. You may have the year right. I'd have to check on that.
I thought it was the 99 Yankees.
No, it was the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I remember how Seattle won like the most, and then they got smoked by the Yankees in the playoffs.
Yes.
Still remember that.
2001.
Hey, and one quick note I wanted to make was the passing of Scott Hall from he was a wrestling legend.
63. Young guy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I wanted to say peace home to Scott Hall. He was a pro wrestling legend that was also known as Razor Ramon for many years in the WWF, WWE, WCW,
all right.
and quite a wrestler. So died at 63. Another
that's a little too young.
Gone too early.
All right, guys. We're gonna cut out. Here's our thoughts of the day. What's the difference?
Wait, whoa! I can't believe we went through this entire show without mentioning it's time for the NCAA.
Oh,
tournament.
yes, of course.
How do we get through an entire show without mentioning that? This is my bracket.
Here's your
right
bracket.
here. When this show airs, we'll be in full swing with the first round of this.
Of the Saltless Nuts.
I've got, the Saltless Nuts, my team. I have Gonzaga, Arizona, Kentucky, and Kansas in my final 4.
Oh, I think that's a pretty strong one there. Okay, guys.
USF all the way, baby.
Yeah. Here's our thoughts of the day. What's the difference between unlawful and illegal? Russ, you know that one? Probably not.
5 to 10 years.
No, unlawful means against the law, while the other is a sick bird. Illegal. Okay. And my wife told me one of these days I'll die of stubbornness. And I said, I could only reply, no, I won't. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best.
Good night, America.
We'll see you next week.
Adios.